Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, mesdames et messieurs, meine Damen und Herren. Today I would like to say a few words about Winter Olympic Games in Beijing, China. Well, what should I start with? First and foremost, let me share my opinion that I don't think that beautiful Olympic movement is somewhat compatible with brutal communist dictatorship. At least it's not more compatible with it than it was incompatible with the Nazi German Reich during the Olympic Games that preceded the Second World War. That's one point. And this time I'm pretty much disgusted with all these projects. And usually I watch Olympic Games, especially judo, skiing, and tennis, those sports that I'm interested in. But during these Olympic Games, I ignore it. It doesn't mean that I'm right or wrong, but that's my approach. But I was going to talk about something else. Recently, I had a chance to hear bitter complaints on behalf of the athletes, of our athletes, I mean North American and West European athletes, about their mistreatment by the hosts of the Olympic Games. Athletes are complaining about lousy food, sorry my language. They are not well fed. They are offered only cold snacks, and even those snacks are lousy, and so are the premises where they have to live. And our athletes are, of course, shocked and surprised. I wonder, why are they so shocked and so surprised? Probably because they know nothing about Chinese mentality and Chinese culture. And that's bad. That's not what it should be because, well, Communist China is getting more and more influence in our economy and sometimes to some extent in our politics. And by the way, before I go any further, let me tell you, I'm not an anti-Chinese person. Not at all. Well, when I was younger, I was taking part in the Tibetan movement for independence, but now I'm not even taking part in that. I'm trying to be objective. And again, let me repeat, China, Communist China, is becoming more and more influential in our economic and political life. Not only are top Chinese communists purchasing our various enterprises, industrial enterprises, our mass media, they are also buying the most expensive real estate property in our countries. Most of West European castles, maybe not most of them, but at least half of them, have been bought by the top Chinese communists. And in North American cities, the most exquisite real estate property in the best areas are also slowly but surely being acquired by top Chinese communist businessmen. Because of that, I'm not going to say that it's bad or good, although you probably can guess that I don't like it too much. But in view of these events, it's absolutely inappropriate to ignore the culture, the traditions, and the mentality of the nation that is becoming more influential than it was before. Some of you who know me pretty well know that for years I have been teaching Chinese politics and Chinese history at the University of Victoria. Those of you who listen to my lectures probably can recall of what I'm going to say right now. I'm not going to offer you any lecture today, but I would like to draw your attention to one very important fact. That fact is that the majority of Chinese people and all of the Chinese political establishment respect exclusively those who are strong and potentially dangerous. Well. There are always exceptions. Any generalization is bad. But nevertheless, the majority of Chinese people and the whole of Chinese political establishment can respect only those who are strong. Are we strong from their perspective? Probably not. Keeping in mind the shameful and devastating evacuation of the United States from Afghanistan, keeping in mind pseudo-pacifistic hysteria in Western Europe, the government of China doesn't consider us strong anymore. It doesn't mean that they are right, by the way. We're still strong, but they don't see it that way. Plus, if we are not strong, we are not dangerous. So why would they respect those who are coming to the Olympic Games as the representatives of weak and spineless countries? No way. But that's only one side of this ugly medal. There is another side of it. You probably heard about the concept of losing one's face. It's a purely Chinese concept, although it's pretty popular in some other East Asian cultures. And to lose your face is worse than to die. Now, let's look at ourselves through the Chinese mirror, through the Feng Shui mirror, to put it mildly. We are denouncing our history, our ancestors, and throwing in the garbage everything good that has been created by our civilization. By we, I don't mean myself, because I'm not like that, and probably I don't mean you. I probably do not even mean the majority of us. I don't know about the statistics. But at least vocal, very loud, and very well financed groups of people are doing that. They are breaking down the statues of our national heroes. They are allowing others to destroy and desecrate our churches and temples. They are blackmouthing everything in our past. Well, in our past there were ugly pages and there were glorious pages, like in any history. On the other hand, our civilization is the only one that denounced slavery and inequality, but okay, let's leave it aside. From the point of view of the majority of Chinese people and Chinese establishment, we are denouncing our past, we are denouncing and despising our ancestry and our legacy. That means that we are losing our face. Actually, it means that we have already lost it. And the person who lost his or her face, from the Chinese perspective, and even from the perspective of the most kind-hearted and most tolerant Chinese person, deserved zero respect. Zero. So, don't be surprised that you are treated like a person who is worse than criminal. That's one aspect I was going to cover. There is another one. I'm sorry, I hope you're not too angry at me for smoking in your presence. Well, you know what? My ancestors who created our civilization, and your ancestors as well, were smoking and drinking alcohol, and they created a civilization that was not too bad. So please be tolerant and celebrate diversity. Now, let's get to something else. Quite a few of my North American and German friends shared with me their interesting plans for their future and retirement. They are planning to spend the rest of their lives in East Asia. Predominantly, they are interested in China, specifically the vicinity of Shanghai, Hong Kong, some islands, and also Singapore. Singapore is not part of China, God forbid, but it's still kind of a Chinese state. Others are thinking about Thailand and the Philippines. Again, their culture is pretty close to the Chinese culture from our perspective. They would disagree with that, but there is certain influence. And their major arguments is that in China, if you are a retired Canadian or retired American, you can live like a king for your American pension or or Canadian pension, and for some money that you have accumulated during a hard life. Yes and no. Yes, you can afford to buy yourself a bungalow at the nice beach of South China Sea or some other beach in the area. Yes, you can afford eating at nice restaurants on a daily basis. Those who would like to use expensive escort service can afford that as well. Sorry about talking about that, but for some of us, it's a criterion as well. But you can enjoy all that only as long as your rights are respected. However, if you represent a weak country or a nation that lost its face, a nation that is not dangerous to China, and what is even more important, the nation that doesn't care about you, you can forget about all your rights. Your money can disappear from your bank account in that part of the world just like that, and even your house can be taken away from you, despite the fact that you will be waving lots of documents from a bank, from the court, saying that it's yours. Forget about that. And if you run to the police and ask them, oh, help me, someone took over my house, they will ask you, sorry, sir, do you have money for the ticket back to your home country? Oh, you do? Then please try to buy yourself a ticket as fast as you can. Unfortunately, that's something that could happen to you if you retire in that part of the world, providing that our nations do nothing to regain their respect on behalf of the Chinese people. Again, disclaimer, whatever I said right now is purely my personal opinion, and I don't want to insist on it. It's up to you to make your own decisions and to believe me or not to believe me. Anyway, it's a nice February day, and I'm wishing you to have a nice and fruitful weekend. Bye bye.